Welcome back, everyone, to Better Than Before. Tony Richards here. In today's coaching and leadership business lesson, I'm going to talk about taking time for yourself. I think most often in the college professor type profession, but other professionals too, have found it very helpful to take sabbaticals. Now, you and I probably can't take 6 months to a year off from what we're doing, but I have found it helpful. When I coach in clients, sometimes I will encourage them to find an hour a week or maybe an hour a day. Or some of my real assertive clients, they've found a way to take 1 day a month or 1 day a week completely off. I try to get them to think about it in terms of, what if you had the perfect life? How much time do you think you would like to have in your perfect life of not working? If you're reasonable and not just outrageous, say, well, I would never work again, I think you would find that you would adapt to those circumstances very quickly. Before you knew it, you'd be bored. So think in terms of, how would I be able to generate an hour for myself? The key is just to get started and find some time for you. One of the things that I like to ponder, and I may ask my clients from time to time, is think about the things that you do every week, and why are you doing some of the things that you're doing? Because we need to be diligent about sorting through things with the intent of only keeping those things around for that future life we envision. As we go toward the future life we want, some things aren't going to make the journey with us. We're going to drop some of those things along the way. You know, when we started doing our profession, our reasons for doing the things we were doing when we started were probably different than they are today. And so the context for choices and activities is so vitally important to think about, because if you're not careful, you may be going through some robotic, habitual motions with some things that you really don't have to do anymore. You just do them because you've always done them. You know, there's a story that I like to tell about the young girl who has been married for a short time, and she's making a holiday dinner, and she's going to put a pan in the oven, and she cuts off both ends of the ham, and she puts it in the pan and she puts it in the oven, and her mother's over, and she asks her mother, "Mom, I cut off both ends of the ham just like you did when I was growing up. By the way, why do we cut off both ends of the ham?" And the mom goes, I really don't know. I'll have to ask your grandmother, because when I was growing up and she was doing the holiday cooking, she cut off both ends of the ham. And so she goes and she asks her mother, "Why do we cut off both ends of the ham?" And she says, "I'm not really sure. We'll have to ask my mom, your great-grandmother, why we cut off both ends of the ham." So she goes to her mother, the great-grandmother, and she says, "Why do we cut off both ends of the ham, Mom?" And she goes, "Oh, honey, back then my pan was too small." And so since then, we've gotten bigger pans, but we still cut off both ends of the ham. Why? Because it's something we've always done. But the context around it changed, and we didn't change with it. So what are you doing to still cut off both ends of the ham? Things that you're doing that you don't have to do anymore. You're just doing them out of obligation and habit. The object of what I'm talking to you about today is, you got to take some time for yourself. And all of our time is a zero-sum game. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. We all need the same approximate amount of sleep. We all need to work. We all have the same amount of total time. So you have to slice that time up a little bit differently if you want to carve out some time for yourself. First of all, I would say you need a place to go. Be by yourself, to just be able to sit and be and think. Now, that could be a walk in the park or a walk on a trail. It could be someplace like that. It could be a drive in your car. For me, my wife has been very generous to me. I have almost the entire downstairs. That's basically the Tony area. I've got a great office down there. I've got a nice common area down there. I have a wonderful media room. I can go down there and feel very comfortable. We've lived in this home now for almost 14 years, and so it's very comfortable. I feel very good there. And you need a place like that for you. Also important to mention to you is we've all got way too much outside stimulus coming at us. TVs are on, radios are on, music, news, other people are talking to us. And in this time, you need to limit that external stimuli. So I'm not talking about going downstairs and sitting with the TV on or sitting with the radio on. I'm talking about just going someplace and just sitting and allowing your whole being and your mind to rest for a little while and then begin to think. Great ideas and restful energy abundance comes from emptying our head. I call it the brain dump. And also important is that this time needs to be something you do often and repetitive. You can't just do it once. Very often you will find that anything you just do once will not yield a lot of results. There's the story about the guy who said he fed his dog once. Well, what happened to the dog? The dog died because he only fed him once. Or he had goldfish and he only fed them once. Well, what happened? Well, they died. What happened if you only ate one time and never again? That would have disastrous results. Most things are good when repeated and often. So here's the challenge for you and me. First of all, your big challenge is, are you going to commit the time? Because we're all terribly overcommitted. We all say yes to way too much stuff. And then we have competing commitments that stretch this out because we've said yes too much. So the question is, will you schedule the time for yourself each week or each day just to empty your head? Now, working out physically is not the same as what I'm talking about. Working out absorbs energy. It does not necessarily give you energy, does not give you freedom, and does not give you solitude. Yes, you'll get some endorphin flow from it, and you will get some benefit from it, and I'm not against working out. It's just that it takes some energy to work out, right? I'm talking about solitude and just being alone, letting your batteries recharge and have your brain freed up so you can do some thinking. A tired brain is always going to be one of your biggest pitfalls and one of your biggest issues because it's everybody's as a human being. Everyone else has worn you out with refocusing your mind, redirecting your mind all over the place because you're reacting and responding all the time, and you need some time to just free your mind from other people's direction and restriction. So how do you do this? Well, here's 4 tips to get you started on this little strategy of taking some time for yourself. Number 1, most important, I've already said it, I'll say it again, you've got to schedule the time in advance and do not relent. Book those hours, those days, whatever time you can in advance and treat that time as non-negotiable. You may even have someone you can delegate some stuff to that you would have normally done that you don't need to be doing. So you're doing 2 great things for yourself. Number 1, you're having time for yourself, and you're also, number 2, being a better delegator. Remember, you've always done some of these things, and you're only doing them because, and maybe you need to give them to somebody else to do. See, you're always going to find reasons not to do it if you want to, but I'm stressing to you this is very important to your overall performance going forward. Number 2, do what you want to do within boundaries. Do what you want to do, but within boundaries. So the basic rule is no work files, no customer stuff, no computer work of a work kind, no checking email, and especially no doing what someone else wants you to do. This is your time for you to recharge and free your mind up to do some thinking. You don't have to justify yourself to anybody about this time. This is your time. Number 3, let your team help you. Now, I understand if you're a one-man band, you're a solo entrepreneur, then, this ought to be a little easier. because you don't have to check with anybody. You don't have to report to anyone. The rest of us, when we're not available, we got to put it on our team to step up. We have to rely on their experience and their good judgment and their decision-making ability. It is one of the absolute best ways for your teammates to grow when you're not around. Number 4, it's better for your employees and it's better for your clients. Why is that, you say? Well, internal employees and external customers want you at 100%. When you're serving them, they want the best version of you. And that best version has energy and clarity. This goes for other personal relationships you're 100% committed to also. They want the best you that they can get. So you owe it to them to give you the best you. And one of the ways you can do that is take some time for yourself. Now, once you develop the habit of taking this time for yourself, there are other things you can do with the time that we can talk about in future episodes. But for right now, it's important for you to just get in the habit of taking some time for yourself to just be with you and your thoughts.
Thank you for listening to Better Than Before with Tony Richards, a business leaders podcast powered by Clear Vision Development Group. For more resources from Tony, visit clearvisiondevelopment.com. Join us next time for another episode of Better Than Before with Tony Richards.